Welcome back everybody. Thanks for returning to my channel. At the end of the last episode we managed to install this gate, and in today's episode we're going to start working on this paved area. So this blue area shows a projected curve of the paving. Also you can see the green area is going to be the lawn in the distance. Facing away from the house, you can now see the green area on the left, which will become the lawn. I need to make sure that this paved area will actually slope away from the garage and the house for rain drainage. And just a quick preview of what paving looks like at the end of this video. So let's get started. The first thing I needed to do was to mark out the actual curve that I wanted for the paving. I did actually try using a long piece of string with a block on one end and a piece of chalk on the other to mark a curve, but it was very difficult to find exactly where it was going to end up. And then by the power of YouTube, I discovered a channel where there were professional pavers who were actually using kind of PVC pipe, which they would lay on the ground, and that would actually be flexible enough to get a curve to it. So after spending about 45 minutes of moving the piping around, I was quite happy with the curve, and then it was soon time to start marking a little more permanently. I was then able to use my angle grinder with a stone cutting disc on it just to mark a slot onto the existing paving blocks. You can see the existing blocks, and if you look carefully, the line that I'm tracing. Coming from the other side, which is near the actual gate entrance, I'd already done a little bit of this, so it was basically a case of following that curve around towards the house. Just to show you a little bit of the curve here, something that I wanted to point out is that although I'm doing these kind of soldier blocks around the outside, you'll also notice these, which are low voltage lighting, which I'm putting in to mark the edge of the paving. I then went round and numbered each of the blocks with chalk so that I can remove them ready to be cut. Cutting the blocks is a fairly simple process with a stone cutting disc on the angle grinder. It's very dusty, so as you can see I'm wearing a mask, goggles and gloves. Having already numbered the blocks, it was simply a case of making sure that the level below the blocks was flat, and placing each piece back in to create the curve. I'm doing about a dozen blocks at a time, and then going back and cutting them. It's just a case of rinse and repeat, I guess. And a quick shot of the first part of the curve, already cut and laid down. Next up, it's time to sort where the edging blocks are going to go. They're also known as soldier blocks, so I'm just marking out because they need to go onto a solid base. I didn't bother to film the digging out process, but here you can see me putting a solid stone base in around the edge with a grey weed barrier. That's basically to stop any plants or tree roots from easily going underneath the paving and lifting it. Time to just compact this down, make sure it's nice and solid. Onto the top of this next goes a crushed stone layer, which creates a nice solid base. The crushed stone layer was a little damp and was sticking to the end of the tamper, which is the big metal heavy pad, so I'm just using some plastic bags here to actually stop it from sticking. Final layer to go down is of course sand. This needs to be fairly flat, but as I said earlier, it needs to slope away from the house and the garage, so I have to make sure that these soldier blocks are actually doing that. Of course, all of the blocks on the left-hand side here are actually going to come up to create the lawn area. So as I'm laying the soldier blocks, I also need to consider the low voltage lighting that I'm going to put in around the edge. So just a quick shot here of how I'm making the recesses for these. I basically clamp two blocks together, and then using a concrete drill I'm able to drill a hole through. So this is the 24 volt lighting system that I'm using. Each of the lights is approximately 1 meter apart, and of course it's all water sealed. As I'm laying each of these soldier blocks, I have to stop every 8th block to actually insert the lighting cables beneath the blocks themselves. Of the lights have a connector which is water sealed with a rubber grommet. It's quite easy to do and can run up to 16 lights off of one small transformer. This area of the paving that I'm working on here is probably the most difficult because I need to transition from a curve in one direction to a curve in the opposite direction basically. So it took quite a bit of planning and adjusting to get the curve right. As you can see here, originally there was a center circle which didn't have any paving, and I'm imagining years ago had trees or plants, so some of this was not paved. So basically I needed to dig out some of the areas and lay completely new paving. And here you can see the next part of the curve has already been cut. Just jumping backwards a little bit here, I just wanted to show how uneven these paving blocks were. I had to actually take the edge over probably about a meter, half a meter or so, and relay these blocks as they were completely uneven. And finally, on to the last part of the paving up towards the house. You can see here again I'm using the PVC piping to kind of mark the edge to get the curve that I want. As it's quite obligatory in these videos, if you are interested, click those buttons below. Thanks, much appreciated. As before, once the line is marked out, it's time to start removing these blocks. As I said before, all of the area on the left side here will be removed to make a lawn area. I'm having to try and find places to store the blocks for the moment. As to what I'm going to do with them later, I still have no idea. Jumping ahead a little bit, you can see I've already cut this curve, and it's time to then put the crushed stone down, and finally the layer of sand with the edging blocks. So I think I said earlier in the video, this is actually a couple of months of work because I'm only at the house on the weekends. To actually support the soldier blocks themselves from moving, we've installed a layer of stone along the edge here. Dash checking out his favourite toy, the hose. It's now time to mix up some concrete to actually hold these blocks along the edge in place. As you can see, Dash is always interested in what's going on. He comes and goes at his own leisure. So the concrete is put along the edge of the blocks here, probably at about a 45-degree angle. I'm putting it down bit by bit and then going along afterwards and kind of smoothing it down. It needs to be below the edge of the blocks themselves because later the grass from the lawn will come right up to the edge of these blocks. There are flexible plastic strips that you can buy with kind of spikes that you knock into the ground to hold these blocks in place. Unfortunately, they don't seem to be readily available in Japan, so I'd have to import them from the US. And a good tap with a rubber mallet along the edge here just to make sure that all the blocks are nice and tight. Finally, all of the curve paving done. I've still got to go back and use the compactor to make sure that there's sand, polymeric sand I should say, compacted down between the blocks to hold them in place. Here's a quick evening shot of the paving with the lighting, and of course the lighting to the main gate posts in the distance. I'm quite happy with it. I think it looks quite good. It's not perfect, but hey, that's the way it goes. In the next video, I'll be working on the main gates. There are 2 of these I need to make. It's going to be quite a big project, so if you're interested in following along, then please subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.